The night sky was crying. Rain poured down over the empty street of New London City, 2349. Neon lights flickered, painting the wet roads in pink and blue. Flying cars whooshed above, leaving glowing trails behind. But one man walked alone on the ground, Ethan Cole, a young space engineer, carrying a bag of metal parts. His boots splashed through puddles as thunder rolled across the sky. He was tired. Another long shift at the orbital shipyard. He just wanted to go home, drink hot coffee, and forget the world. Then he saw her, an old lady standing under a flickering streetlight. She was small, wearing a heavy gray coat, but her silver hair shimmered like stars. She wasn't holding an umbrella, and the rain didn't seem to touch her. The water bent around her and like she had a force field. Ethan slowed down. "Ma'am, are you okay?" She turned her head slowly. Her eyes glowed faint green. Not human eyes. Ethan froze. He had seen that glow once in an alien war 20 years ago. It was the color of the Lunari, a mysterious alien race who vanished after their world exploded. The old woman smiled. "You dropped something, child." Ethan looked down. A small round crystal rolled toward him. He didn't remember carrying it. When he picked it up, it was warm and pulsing like a heartbeat. He frowned. "Is this yours?" The woman nodded gently. "Thank you, Ethan Cole. You have done a kindness tonight." He blinked. "Wait, how do you know my name?" Before he could ask again, the woman raised her hand. A light burst from her palm, surrounding him for a second. The world blurred, and then it was gone. He woke up the next morning in his small apartment. The rain had stopped. The city outside buzzed with morning traffic. Ethan sat up confused. His shoes were still wet, and the crystal lay glowing on his desk. "What the hell?" he whispered. He remembered everything. The old lady, the green eyes, the strange light. But when he checked the street later that day, there was no sign of her. Only a cracked streetlight and a faint burn mark on the pavement. That night, while eating noodles, he heard a ping. His communicator flashed him an unknown signal. The message was short, written in an alien code he hadn't seen in years. He ran it through a translator. It said, "She is safe now. But she remembers you." Ethan frowned. "She? Who?" Then another message appeared. "You will meet her soon. Prepare yourself, human." Before he could reply, the signal vanished. His screen went dark. The next day, everything felt wrong. Machines at the shipyard glitched. People's wrist chips flickered randomly. The air smelled of ozone, like before a lightning strike. Ethan's friend Mira called out, "Hey, Cole, you look like you saw a ghost." He almost laughed. Maybe I did. That night, as he sat at his desk, the crystal began to hum. A soft blue light filled the room. Then, a hologram appeared above it. It was the old lady again. "Ethan Cole," she said softly, her voice like wind through glass. "You helped me. Now I help you." Ethan stared, speechless. "You will meet my granddaughter soon," the hologram continued. "She is strong. And stubborn. But she needs someone to guide her." "What are you talking about?" Ethan asked. The old lady smiled. "The Lunari are not gone. We are just hiding. My granddaughter carries our future, and she will need a human heart." Before Ethan could speak, the hologram flickered, and the crystal exploded in a flash of blue light. When he opened his eyes, he was standing on another world, a strange sky burned with two suns. Silver trees shimmered in the wind. In the distance, a city floated in the air like a giant crown, and in front of him stood a young woman, tall, with glowing silver hair and the same green eyes as the old lady. She looked at him with a curious smile. "You must be Ethan," she said. "My grandmother told me about you. She said, 'You're the one I'm supposed to marry.'" Ethan stood frozen. The alien girl in front of him looked half human, half something else. Her silver hair floated softly even without wind, and her eyes glowed green like the old woman's. She wore a thin suit made of shining fabric that changed colors with every move. "My grandmother sent you," she said again, stepping closer. "You helped her. Now she wants me to help you." Ethan blinked. "Help me? I didn't ask for help. I just picked up her crystal." The girl tilted her head, amused. "Humans always think their choices are small, but every small action moves the universe." Ethan frowned. "Okay, fine. Then tell me who you are." She straightened proudly. "I am Lyra of the Lunari, last of the royal bloodline, keeper of the celestial core." Ethan crossed his arms. "Great royalty figures. He looked around at the strange glowing forest. Where am I? This is Lunara Prime, she replied. Or what remains of it. You stand inside a hidden colony, one of the few places our people still live. Ethan looked up. The floating city in the sky shimmered like a crystal crown, surrounded by beams of blue energy. It was beautiful and sad. He took a deep breath. Okay, Lyra, your grandma said something crazy. About marriage? Lyra's cheeks flashed pale silver, a Lunari blush. She believes in the old prophecy, she said softly, that a human would one day join with Lunari blood and bring balance back to both worlds. Ethan laughed once dryly. Balance? I fix engines, not destinies. Lyra smiled faintly. Maybe that's why she chose you. They began walking through the glowing forest. Strange creatures, half light, half shadow, floated between the trees, watching silently. The air hummed with soft music like the planet itself was singing. As they walked, Lyra spoke again. My people once ruled many worlds, but when our son died, everything changed. The survivors fled to hidden colonies like this. We lived in peace, until the hunters came. Hunters? They are machines built by our enemies. They destroy everything they find. That is why my grandmother was hiding on your world. She carried the core, the last source of Lunari power. She needed a protector. Ethan's mind spun. And that protector is me? Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, you touched the core, it accepted you. That's why you were brought here. Ethan looked down at his hands. A faint blue pattern shimmered on his skin, like glowing veins. What the hell is this? The mark of the core, Lyra said. It links your life to ours now. If you die, the core dies too. He stared at her, stunned. You've got to be kidding me. Lyra's eyes softened. I wish I were. They reached a high cliff overlooking the floating city. A narrow bridge of light connected it to the land. In the distance, silver ships hovered, their engines pulsing softly. Lyra turned to him. My grandmother believed the core chose you for a reason, but I do not trust easily. You must prove your heart is strong. Ethan raised an eyebrow. And how do I do that? Before Lyra could answer, the ground shook. A loud roar echoed through the valley. Ethan stumbled. What was that? Lyra's expression turned to fear. The hunters. They've found us. From the dark horizon, red lights appeared. Dozens of flying metal creatures shaped like giant insects. Their wings glowed crimson and their eyes burned like fire. Run! Lyra shouted. Ethan followed her as the machines opened fire. Bolts of plasma hit the ground, exploding into sparks. The trees burned blue as energy waves rippled through the forest. Lyra stopped at a small pod hidden behind rocks. Get in! Ethan hesitated. What about you? She smiled faintly. I said I would help you, didn't I? I'll meet you in the city, go! Before he could argue, she pushed him inside the pod and sealed the hatch. The pod shot into the air just as the hunters closed in. Through the small window, Ethan saw Lyra leap into battle, her hands glowing with energy. She moved like lightning, her every strike leaving trails of silver fire. The pod shook violently as it flew toward the floating city. Ethan gripped the seat, heart racing. Below, the forest burned. Above, the city's shields opened to receive him. Then his pod hit something, went on a blast of red light. Everything went white. When Ethan opened his eyes, he was lying in a medical chamber. The air smelled clean and metallic. A robotic nurse hovered nearby. Welcome to the city of Crownlight. You survived, human subject Ethan Cole. He sat up slowly. Where's Lyra? The robot paused. Princess Lyra has been captured. Ethan's blood ran cold. Captured by who? The robot's voice turned grim. By the hunters. And they are coming. For you next. Alarms echoed through the floating city of Crownlight. Ethan sat on the edge of the medical bed, his heart pounding. The robotic nurse's words kept repeating in his head. Princess Lyra has been captured. He clenched his fists. Where did they take her? The robot blinked its red eyes. Unknown. The hunters do not leave survivors, but one ship was detected leaving atmosphere toward the wastelands of Seraph. Ethan stood up. Then that's where I'm going. Human subject, your survival rate is only 7%, the robot warned. Ethan smirked. I've done worse odds. He changed into a dark flight suit left on the counter, clearly made for Lunari soldiers but surprisingly fit him. The glowing veins on his arms pulsed brighter as he tightened the gloves. It was like the core inside him was alive, sensing his anger. He looked out the glass window. The floating city shimmered peacefully above the planet's surface, but below, dark clouds boiled like smoke. He whispered to himself, "Hang on. Lyra." Ethan made his way to the city's hangar, a huge dome filled with sleek Lunari ships. Silver walls reflected his image as he searched for something small enough to fly alone. A young Lunari technician stopped him. "Human, you are not allowed here." Ethan turned. "Your princess is in danger." "I'm going after her," the Lunari frowned. "That's suicide." Ethan smiled a little. "Maybe, but I owe her grandmother, and her." Something in his voice made the technician pause. Finally, he sighed and tossed him a control crystal. "Take the scout ship. Fastest one we've got, but once you leave, you're on your own." "That's all I need," Ethan said. Moments later, the silver craft shot out of the city like a comet. The stars blurred past as Ethan gripped the controls, following the coordinates the robot had given him. The wastelands of Seraph were a nightmare, a ruined planet orbiting too close to its dying sun. Torn metal mountains floated in space, connected by lightning storms. As he approached, a voice echoed in his head. "Ethan." He froze. It was Lyra's voice, soft but weak. "Lyra, where are you?" he said aloud. Her reply came through his mind like wind through broken glass. "The hunters. They're using me to find the core. Don't come, Ethan. It's too dangerous." He gritted his teeth. Too late for that. The connection faded. Ethan landed the ship on a dark metal surface. The ground shook beneath him, the remains of a massive factory. Towers rose into the fog, glowing faint red. As he moved forward, small drone eyes floated out of the mist. He ducked behind broken machinery. The drones scanned the air with crimson beams. He picked up a fallen Lunari weapon, a sleek staff with glowing lines. It hummed to life as he touched it, syncing instantly with the core's energy inside him. "Guess we're compatible," he muttered. He moved fast and silent. When one drone turned toward him, he swung the staff. A pulse of blue energy cut through it cleanly. Sparks rained down. More drones came. Ethan rolled behind a pillar, firing bursts of light. The staff responded to his thoughts, firing like a gun. One by one, the drones fell. But then, a deep rumble filled the air. A massive figure stepped out of the shadows. Black armor, red eyes, claws made of plasma. It wasn't a machine. It was a hunter warlord. "You carry the core," the creature said in a voice like thunder. "Surrender it, human, and I may let you live." Ethan tightened his grip on the staff. "Sorry, not today." The hunter lunged forward. Their weapons clashed, sparks flying in all directions. Ethan ducked, rolled, and swung the staff into the creature's chest. The energy blast threw it back, but it got up again stronger. The core inside Ethan glowed fiercely. Blue lightning covered his arms. He screamed as power surged through him. The staff became an extension of his will, and in one strike, he pierced the hunter's chest. The creature froze, glowing cracks spreading through its armor before it exploded into light. Ethan fell to his knees. Breathing hard from the smoke, a small drone approached, carrying something in its claws. It dropped a metal shard before him. When Ethan touched it, an image appeared. Lyra, trapped inside a glowing cage. Behind her stood a tall, shadowy figure with silver eyes. The voice said, "The core belongs to me, human. Bring it to the Citadel of Echoes, or the princess dies." The message ended. Ethan looked up at the stormy sky. His hand shook, not from fear but fury. He whispered, "If they want the core, they'll have to kill me first." He stood staring at the distant lights of the Citadel, a fortress floating above the red horizon. The fight wasn't over. It had just begun. The red horizon burned like fire. Ethan's small ship hovered at the edge of a dark storm. Far ahead he saw it, the Citadel of Echoes, a black fortress floating above lightning clouds. Its towers twisted like claws reaching for the stars, and strange red energy pulsed from its center. Inside that fortress, Lyra was trapped. And Ethan wasn't leaving without her. He pulled a metal chip from his pocket, the shard the drone had given him. When he placed it into the ship's control panel, a holographic map appeared. It showed a narrow path through the storm. "All right," he whispered. "Let's dance." The ship dove through the clouds, lightning flashing around him. The core's power pulsed under his skin, guiding him through chaos. Suddenly, a voice echoed in his mind, faint but familiar. "Ethan." It was Lyra again, her voice weak. They want the core. Don't give it, he gritted his teeth. I'm coming, Lyra, just hold on. He landed his ship on a metal platform and stepped out into a world of shadows. The air was cold, filled with the hum of machines. Tall glass tubes lined the walls, each holding something. Someone. Lunari bodies frozen in stasis. Ethan's stomach twisted. They're experimenting on them. He moved quietly, gripping his energy staff. Strange whispers echoed in the halls. Memories of voices trapped in the Citadel's metal walls. That's why it was called the Citadel of Echoes. It didn't just hold prisoners. It remembered them. He reached a wide chamber filled with glowing runes. At its center stood a figure, tall, wearing dark armor with silver eyes that burned like cold stars. You came, the figure said. His voice was deep and calm. Where's Lyra? Ethan demanded. The man turned slowly. His face was pale, marked with Lunari symbols. Safe, for now. I am Kale, guardian of the core, or at least I was. Ethan tightened his grip on the staff. Guardian? You kidnapped her. Kale's silver eyes flashed. I protected her. From her own grandmother. Ethan blinked. What? Kale stepped closer. You think the old one was kind? She hid the truth. The core is not a gift, human. It is a weapon. One strong enough to end both our races. Ethan shook his head. You're lying, Kale pointed at Ethan's chest. Then tell me, human, why does the core feed on your life? Every time you use it, it takes a piece of you. Haven't you felt it? Ethan froze. His hands trembled. He had felt weaker after every fight. Kale continued. The old queen used you. She needed a host strong enough to contain the core's energy. A disposable shield, Ethan's heart pounded. No, she wouldn't. Kale's expression softened, almost pitying. You're brave, but blind. Before Ethan could reply, alarms blared. Red lights filled the chamber. Kyle frowned. They've found us. Who? Ethan asked. Kale looked up. The hunters. They tracked your ship. You led them here. The ceiling exploded. Metal creatures poured in, hundreds of them. Cover me, Ethan shouted. Kyle summoned twin blades of light cutting through the air. Ethan fought beside him, swinging his staff and firing bursts of energy. The core's glow wrapped around him, bright as a star. Explosions thundered. The floor cracked. Sparks and smoke filled the air. When the last hunter fell, Ethan was on his knees, gasping for breath. The core inside him pulsed like a burning heart. Kale looked at him. You're dying. The core is draining you faster than I thought. Ethan forced a smile. I'm not dead yet. Where's Lyra? He demanded again. Kale hesitated, then gestured toward a corridor. Follow me. They passed through a narrow hallway into another chamber. This one filled with golden light. At the center, Lyra hung inside a transparent sphere, her body surrounded by energy streams. Lyra! Ethan shouted, running forward. Kale raised a hand. Wait, the prison feeds on the core. If you touch it, it will consume you both. Ethan looked back. Then how do we free her? Kale paused. There is one way, but you won't like it. Try me, Kale's eyes glowed. You must merge completely with the core, become one with it. Only then can you break the prison, Ethan frowned. You mean, let it control me? Kale nodded slowly. Yes, but once you do, you may never be human again. Ethan looked at Lyra, her eyes half open, tears floating inside the energy field. He whispered, human or not, I'm not leaving her. He placed his hand on the glowing sphere. Pain shot through him like fire. The core roared inside his chest, spreading light through every vein. His vision blurred, his body trembling. Kale shouted, Stop! It's too much. But Ethan didn't stop. The light exploded outward, shattering the prison. Lyra fell into his arms, weak but alive. As they both collapsed to the floor, Kyle stepped forward, awe in his voice. You did it. But at what cost? Ethan's eyes opened, glowing blue like the stars. I'll worry about that later, he said softly. The silence after the explosion was heavy. The chamber was full of floating dust and sparks. Ethan lay on the ground, breathing hard, his body glowing with a faint blue light. Lyra was beside him, weak but alive. Kyle stood over them, his silver armor cracked and smoking. You survived, he said quietly. No human should have endured that. Ethan tried to move, but pain shot through his body like fire. Guess I'm not fully human anymore, he muttered. Lyra placed her hand on his chest. Ethan, your eyes. They're glowing. He turned toward her reflection in the glass wall. His eyes were bright blue like twin stars. The veins on his arms shimmered faintly. The core had changed him. What did I do? He whispered. Kyle stepped closer, studying him. You merged with the core. You are its vessel now. Every heartbeat, every breath, Jan, you carry its power. Ethan frowned. Then let's use it to finish the hunters. Kyle's face darkened. It's not that simple. The core's power has no limit, but it takes your life to feed itself. The more you use it, the faster you die. Lyra shook her head. There must be another way. Kale sighed. There is one. If the core finds perfect balance between heart and mind, it stops consuming life and starts giving it. But that's a myth, not science. Ethan smiled faintly. Then I'll make the myth real. They made their way out of the shattered chamber. The citadel was collapsing. Cracks spread across the floor and red alarms flashed. As they reached the main hall, Ethan stopped. The walls were covered with glowing lunari symbols, memories written in light. He touched one. The symbols changed, forming an image. The old lunari queen, Lyra's grandmother. She stood with Kale beside her, holding a glowing crystal, the same core that now pulsed inside him. The hologram spoke. If you see this, then the core has awakened. Forgive me, Kale, I could not trust the council. I used the human's DNA because their hearts can bear pain we never could. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. She used him, but she also believed in him. Ethan said nothing. He looked at the image of the old queen, her calm smile, her sorrowful eyes, and somehow he didn't feel anger. Maybe she had done what she thought was right. Suddenly the floor trembled. From deep within the citadel came a new sound, a low mechanical growl. Kyle drew his twin blades. Something's coming. The wall burst open. Out of the smoke crawled a huge figure, a fusion of metal and flesh. Half lunari, half machine. Its body was covered in broken armor, glowing red veins, and a familiar face twisted with rage. Lyra gasped. Grandmother? Ethan froze. The face was indeed hers, but wrong. Twisted, rebuilt by the hunters. Kale whispered, The queen. She's been reborn as their weapon. The creature's eyes blazed red. The core belongs to me. Ethan stepped forward. You're not her. She's gone. The creature screamed, firing a beam of red energy that shattered the ceiling. Kale blocked it with his blades, but the blast threw him across the hall. Ethan pulled Lyra behind cover. Stay down. He looked at his glowing hands. The core's energy pulsed wildly, begging to be released. Kale shouted, If you fight her, you'll burn out. Ethan didn't care. He ran into the open, the core's light exploding around him. Blue lightning met red fire in midair. The impact shook the entire citadel. The two forces collided again and again, human and machine, light and shadow. The ground melted beneath them. Ethan's body trembled as the core flared brighter. He shouted, You were supposed to protect her, not destroy her. The queen's voice echoed in rage. I protected our kind. Humanity is a disease. Ethan's light grew until it filled the entire hall. His voice roared through the chaos. Then let this disease show you mercy. He released a burst of energy so pure that it ripped the darkness apart. The queen screamed, and then vanished into a wave of white light. Silence. The citadel's fires dimmed. The alarm stopped. The air smelled of ash and metal. Ethan fell to his knees, shaking. His glow faded to a soft shimmer. Lyra ran to him, tears falling down her face. Ethan! Say something. He looked up weakly, smiling. She's gone, but I think... She found peace. Kale approached slowly, his armor scorched. You destroyed her body, but her mind may still echo inside the core. Ethan nodded faintly. Then we'll find her. One day. Lyra touched his cheek, her voice trembling. You saved us all. But at what cost? Ethan's glow dimmed further and his eyes closed. Lyra held him tight, whispering, Don't you dare leave me, human. Far above them, the storm clouds opened, and a ray of blue light fell upon the ruined citadel. The core pulsed once, twice, and then whispered softly in the wind, Not yet. Darkness. Then light, soft, endless, and alive. Ethan opened his eyes, expecting pain or fire. Instead, he floated weightless in a glowing white sea. Streams of energy swirled around him like ribbons of air. Stars flickered in the distance, pulsing with rhythm like a heartbeat. He looked down at himself. His body was half transparent, made of light. Every breath made the space around him shimmer. "Where am I?" he whispered. A voice answered, calm, familiar, and echoing from every direction. "You are within the core, Ethan Cole." Ethan turned. A figure emerged from the light, tall, graceful, and glowing. It was the old Lunari queen, Lyra's grandmother. But her eyes were gentle now, no longer red with rage. "Am I dead?" he asked quietly. She smiled faintly. "Not yet. Between life and death lies this place and the core's heart. You entered it when your body failed." Ethan floated closer. "Why? Why did you make this thing?" "It's killing me." The queen sighed, her voice soft as wind. "We made it to save our dying son. It could rebuild energy, heal worlds, but it demanded a living soul to guide it. Every Lunari who tried was consumed. Then why me?" he asked. "Because you are human," she said simply. "Humans endure pain with hope. You are imperfect, and that is your greatest strength." Ethan looked down, clenching his fists. "You used me?" "Yes," she whispered, sorrow in her tone. "But I never meant for you to suffer this much. I saw something in you that even my kind lost long ago, mercy." He stared at her, anger and pity mixing inside him. "And what about Lyra? She deserves better than your lies." The queen nodded slowly. "She will. But she cannot carry our future alone. That is why you were chosen. Not as a soldier, not as a weapon, but as her balance." The light around them shifted. The white sea rippled and formed scenes. Memories. Ethan saw the war between humans and Lunari. Cities burning, skies filled with fire. He saw Lyra as a child, crying in her grandmother's arms. He saw Kale standing guard while planets died one by one. Then, he saw himself, helping the old woman in the rain. That simple act replayed again and again, like the universe itself was watching it. Ethan touched the image. "It started with kindness," he whispered. The queen smiled. "Yes, and that kindness changed everything." Suddenly the light dimmed. The sea turned gray. A cold wind swept through the void. Ethan looked around. "What's happening?" The queen's face darkened. "The corruption. The hunters infected the core before you arrived. It spreads even here." From the distance, shadows crawled across the light, twisted shapes of metal and smoke, whispering in broken voices. "You can't fight them here," she said. "Only control the core, or it will consume your world." Ethan clenched his fists. "Tell me how." Her form began to fade. "You already know. You've felt it." "What do you mean?" "The core answers to heart, not command. Use anger and it will destroy. Use fear and it will enslave. But use love." She smiled softly. "And it will heal." The light flickered. The queen's form vanished into dust. Ethan floated alone, surrounded by creeping darkness. The whispers grew louder and voices of doubt, pain, and memory. "You failed. You are dying." "She will forget you," he shouted back. "Shut up." The core pulsed violently, reacting to his emotions. The sea turned into storm. Ethan fell through clouds of light, memories flashing around him. His family. The shipyard. Lyra's smile, her laughter, her tears. And then he stopped falling. A warm light touched his chest. A small, soft voice whispered, "Ethan, come back." It was Lyra. Her hand reached for him through the light. He reached back, and when their fingers met, the core exploded with energy. Blue and gold light spreading in every direction. Burning away the shadows, he woke up gasping, lying on solid ground. Lyra was there, kneeling beside him, tears on her face. "You scared me, human," she whispered. "You were gone for hours." Ethan coughed, trying to smile. "Guess I needed a nap." Kale stood nearby, watching in disbelief. "You stabilized the core, the Citadel's power readings. They're balanced. How?" Ethan sat up slowly. The glow in his eyes was calm now and soft, steady. "I stopped fighting it." Lyra looked at him, smiling through tears. "You're glowing again." He laughed weakly. "Yeah, I think I'm part nightlight now." She hugged him tightly, and for the first time the core's light felt warm. Not burning, not consuming. Alive. Kale looked toward the horizon. "The hunters are retreating. They must have sensed the balance." Ethan looked up at the sky. The twin suns of Lunara Prime rose together, painting the world in gold. For the first time in centuries, peace touched the Lunari world, But deep in the distance, something stirred. A shadow watching from beyond the stars. The Queen's last words echoed in Ethan's mind. Peace is never the end. Only the pause before a new beginning. The twin suns of Lunara Prime rose high, turning the silver forest into rivers of gold. The air was calm for the first time in centuries, but deep beneath the planet's surface, something ancient was waking. Ethan stood on the balcony of Crown Light City, watching the horizon. The blue glow in his veins pulsed softly, the core breathing with him. Lyra joined him quietly, her silver hair catching the light. "It's beautiful," she said. "But it feels too quiet." Ethan nodded. "Yeah. Every time peace comes, something big waits behind it." Kyle stepped forward from behind them, his armor freshly repaired. "You are both right. The hunters do not vanish. They retreat to rebuild. But something else stirs in the void." Ethan frowned. "You mean the Hunter King?" Kyle's eyes darkened. "Yes, the one who created them." "The core's opposite." Lyra turned sharply. "I thought he was destroyed ages ago." Kyle shook his head. His mind was sealed inside the black hole of Arian. "But the Queen's death and your awakening have disturbed the balance. He feeds on chaos, and the core's light called to him." Ethan looked toward the rising suns. "Then we finish this together." Hours later, they stood at the heart of the city where the new energy towers hummed with core power. The Lunari people gathered in silence, watching Ethan, their unlikely savior. Lyra placed her hand over his chest. "If you go out there, the core will follow you. You could burn out." Ethan smiled softly. "You always worry too much." She looked down, whispering, "Because I care too much." He touched her hand. "Then trust me, just once more." Kyle activated the city's beacon. "The Hunter King rises from the void in 1 hour. If he reaches Lunara, he will devour the core and everything alive. We must face him in orbit." Ethan nodded. "Then let's bring the fight to him." They launched into the sky in 3 silver ships, leaving streaks of blue light behind. As they broke through the clouds, the stars appeared. Cold, endless, waiting. And then they saw it. A massive shadow drifted from the black void, a structure larger than any planet shaped like a broken crown. In its center burned a red eye pulsing with hatred. The Hunter King had awoken. Its voice thundered across the comms, ancient and mechanical. "Lunari, human, you defy extinction. I will correct that mistake." The fleet of hunters rose behind him, millions strong. Ethan gripped the controls. "Kale, take the left flank." "Lyra, stay with me." We hit the eye directly. Kale's ship streaked forward, firing beams of light. Explosions filled space as hunters swarmed. Lyra's ship danced between them, her voice calm and steady over the radio. "Ethan, watch your right." He rolled his ship just in time, firing back. The core inside him guided every move. Blue energy erupted from his weapons, cutting through metal like paper. But the king was waiting. "You carry my enemy's heart, human. Return it to me, and I may let your world live." Ethan's voice was hard. "You'll have to kill me first." "Gladly." A beam of red fire shot from the king's crown, striking Ethan's ship. The blast tore through metal and flame. Lyra screamed, "Ethan!" The ship spun out of control, falling toward the planet. Ethan's vision blurred, alarms screaming, flames rising. The core inside him pulsed wildly, struggling to keep him alive. He whispered, "Not yet. Not while they need me." Then everything went white. When the light faded, Ethan was no longer inside his ship. He stood in the void, glowing brighter than ever. His body had fully merged with the core. He was no longer just human. He was the core made flesh. The Hunter King loomed before him, massive and burning. Ethan raised his hand. "This ends now," the king laughed. "You are light, I am void. You cannot destroy me." Ethan's voice echoed through the stars. "Then I'll fill you with what you've never known. Hope." He shot forward, turning into a streak of pure light. The core's energy blazed from his heart, colliding with the king's dark center. The impact shook space itself. Light and darkness wrapped around each other, twisting like fire and storm. Lyra's voice echoed faintly through the static. "Ethan, come back." He smiled through the blinding light. "I am." The explosion that followed was silent, a wave of gold and blue sweeping across the heavens. The hunter fleet disintegrated, the red eye shattered, and the void itself grew still. Days later, the Lunari looked to the sky and saw a new star, small, bright and pulsing like a heartbeat. Lyra stood beneath it, tears glistening. You kept your promise, human. Kyle bowed his head. He became what he was meant to be. Balance, Lyra whispered softly. No. He became what none of us could be. Light with a human heart. Centuries later, legends would call him Ethan the Starborn. The man who turned kindness into power, and power into peace. And every dawn on Lunara Prime, as the twin suns rose together, the people swore they could still hear his voice in the wind, warm, steady, and full of hope. Humanity. Forever.